you allowed yourself to fall in love with a new idea lately? I mean, really fall in love with a new idea where it takes over, where you feel all juiced up and energized? Or are you kind of thinking the same thoughts over and over and over again? Let me tell you what I mean. And let me let you know what's been happening with me over the past couple of months because I have fell in love with a new idea. I mean, really, a new idea, and it wasn't even a hard idea. But if you would have told me, what about this, Janet? I would have said, no, it's not possible for me, at least not at this time. And guess what? In the course of about 6 to 8 weeks, that idea has actually come to fruition. And it has to do with me purchasing a duplex in Spokane, Washington. So as I'm getting closer and closer to retirement age, I find myself really withdrawing into ideas of lack, thinking about how am I going to get by during my retirement years based on Social Security and what I might have. And I couldn't see a way out. I couldn't see a way out living in the United States. And so my idea over the past couple of years was, well, I'll just be an expat. I can move to Panama, or I can move to Ecuador, or I could move to Mexico. And so I went online and I was been researching and researching. And yet, even though that is a solution, it's an answer, deep down, that answer, that solution was really based in lack thinking. And not only that, is in my heart of hearts, I don't really want to move and be an expat and be that far away from my family, right? But that's the only idea I could think of because staying put was just not an option. So, what happened that changed? Well, for the past number of years, you know, when you can go on my Social Security website and see how much you're going to get for Social Security, I had that number in my head. That was the number I had that I was going to have to settle for, if you will. And so in October, I went on the Social Security website, and guess what? I could retire today, take an early retirement, and that number that I have been thinking about, because that was the number in the past, I could retire early and have that amount of retirement. Of course, if I waited till my full retirement age, I'd have a couple of hundred more dollars, but I didn't care about that because the number that has been in my head all along is available to me now. So I got to thinking, and my first thought was, what if? What if I just buy a little mobile home, pay cash for a mobile home, and then I could take an early retirement and I'd only have space rent? That could be affordable. That would be an equivalent of me moving to Panama. And so I got excited about that and I started looking online and seeing what was out there. And then I had another thought. And then I thought, well, what if I took that money that I would spend on a mobile home and put it as a down payment for a house? And then maybe my house payment would be an equivalent to what space rent might be. And then I get a tax write-off and I get appreciation. And then I started looking about what kind of houses would be in that price range. And then I contacted a lender and they said that they could approve me for some amount way higher than I was looking at. And then I had another idea. And that idea is, what if I buy a house that had a basement that was like a mother-in-law suite? And then I could have my daughter rent the basement from me, effectively paying half of my mortgage. So going up in price, but keeping the payment the same. So we started looking at that. And this was even before I asked if my daughter would be willing to do that. And then, and I had so many options. It was crazy making. It was absolutely crazy making. But you know what that thinking did? It got me out of the thinking of lack. if I had to settle for this amount and try and live within this sort of means. It got me excited. It got me juiced up. It got me anticipating something great and wonderful and awesome. So through 4 offers and looking at houses, and actually I wasn't even looking because I'm here in Arizona and I'm looking to buy a place where my daughter lives in Spokane. She was the one looking and she was videoing, right? We were doing like FaceTime. 4 offers later, I closed escrow this week on a duplex. So it's not a basement apartment, it's an actual duplex with side by side. My daughter will live on one side, I will live on the other side. She's moving in this weekend. And I realized that it all started because, well, because I looked at the Social Security website, but that got me inspired to have a new idea. What if? It started with the what if question. So all of my other what if questions up until this point was how? How do I live within my means? How do I make do with what I think I'm going to have? And do you get that one is really limited and just looking with what I see, there's no possibilities in that. There's no options in that. There's no imagination in that. But what if? What if it was possible that something else could come through? What if? What if I got rid of this limiting thinking? Now, I needed to have a website that would shake me out of it. What I'm hoping to do by this video is to help shake you out of your having to make do scenarios. What ideas have you locked onto, have you latched onto, have you embraced that keep you kind of feeling stuck in lack in some kind? It could be lack in finances. It could be a lack of a fulfilling and exciting relationship. It could be lack in vibrant health and vitality. It could be lack in just getting older and having opportunities for creative expression or employment. We get so locked into judging the world with our eyes and with what we see and what we have experienced up until now. And I get it. I was locked into that I just showed you and explained to you. But what if? What if you could suspend all of that? What if a new idea, a new level of understanding, a new level of awareness, a new level of becoming, a new level of joy, a new level of health and vitality, a new level of financial freedom, a new level of creative ideas that you don't even know what they might be? What if they're right there, just waiting for you to chop off that idea of lack that has really been at the forefront? What if there's something better for you? That's my question. What idea can you fall in love with today? What idea can you let go of, maybe just for a moment, so that the new idea can come in? I am so grateful that finally I was able to do this. Now, of course, it came externally from me looking at the Social Security website, but it was no accident because for the last year at least, I have been, besides thinking about lack and where I can retire based on what I was anticipating was my living expenses, in the midst of all that, I was still continuing with my spiritual work, with my visualization of abundance and more. I was still doing my affirmative prayers every day. I was still writing and journaling about what an abundant lifestyle would look like for me and feel like for me, doing all of that even in the midst of this lack-based thinking. Finally, something clicked. It set in. Now, it looked like it came externally from the Social Security website, but I was doing the prep work. So I would say in the midst even of your lack thinking in any area, see if you can help grease up some new ideas just by saying, what if? What if this really wasn't the truth and something better is there? I would love to hear what your what if thinking might be today. I'm here to support you, and I am Janet Kingsley. I work predominantly with women in their 40s to 60s who know that their spiritual and self development impacts every area of their life, but they still struggle with settling, with hiding out, with not following their dreams. And they want to step in to their boldness. They want to create their 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 life of their choosing. They want to experience something that maybe they've dared not dream of before. I'd love to hear your comment below. I'd love for you to visit my website at www.janetkingsley.com. If you know somebody who needs to have a little bit of a boost, who might identify with, like me, thinking this lack thought and yet hoping, it just takes some hope initially, hoping there's something more. Just allow for a new idea. Allow yourself to fall in love with that new idea and see if it doesn't rock your world like it did mine. Until next time, rock on.